He's great off-prompter. He's willing to mix it up on cable news. He's willing to get in to the war zone. And that part of the decision to pick him is, hey, this is a guy we can put out there who just on screen is better than Kamala Harris is, can do the folksy thing. He had some of those lines, we can sleep when we're dead, almost like he was talking in a locker room to a football team, that works on cable news in a way that she can't.
Well, I think you're right. Until about a half hour ago, I had never, to my conscious memory, seen him or heard him speak. He looked to me when she picked him. I was very disappointed that she was with her dad, even though they're the same age. You know, he seems much older. I was shocked, as you were, that he didn't pick Josh Shapiro, who was nimble, charismatic, sharp. It seemed my wife and I and our friend group across the nation worried that this election was a nod to the pro-Palestinian wing of the Democratic Party. I think that he undid a lot of that misgiving, but clearly in the lead up to tonight, Josh Shapiro, Mark Kelly, even Pritzker, even Bashir seemed to me a better choice than the governor of Minnesota. And I don't remember him particularly distinguishing himself. You mentioned the 2020 George Floyd riots. It seemed, even though he was in the stellar service to the United States and the command sergeant major in the Army, Army Reserve, he didn't call out the National Guard for 24 hours after people wanted him to. But he undid a lot of that worry, I think. This was a feisty speech. He did, you know, have a spark of personality there that was that I appreciated. It's still not the visual that I would have liked. I'm sorry he didn't pick Josh Shapiro. I worry that it's like Jackie Mason and Mel Brooks, that Shapiro was too Jewish. But I think that this will be that Palestinian Jewish thing will be an issue for Democrats going forward, to me, Leland.
A couple of things. I'm just still basking in the fact that you said you think I'm right, because that rarely, if ever, happens. So I'm just sitting there. This is what he said about the BLM riots when Minneapolis burned to the ground. Walz's past comments on BLM. Take a listen.
A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at.
Among other things, he, as governor, instituted a COVID snitch line so that people could call and report their neighbors and people who went to church and did other things that were not consistent with his lockdown. He celebrated being a sanctuary state, and in fact, we heard him talk about that today and a number of the things he did. Just because you're from the Midwest, as am I, that does not make you a Midwesterner in terms of values. You live in Ohio now, not far from Western Pennsylvania, which is where this election could be decided. When somebody says socialism is neighborliness, that doesn't work well with working men and women.
It doesn't, and it's weird to use his phrase, weird, and I don't think he would have been picked if it didn't pick up, if that word didn't become, when he said weird, J.D. Vance and Trump are weird. If that didn't go viral, I don't think he would have been the pick for the Democrats. And you know, that lefty stuff doesn't play anymore, it just seems to me, unless you're Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib, and you want Israel to lose the Gaza war, you don't want to go playing around with that. You listing right now issues that I think are important that people remember. You know, that he did free school meals, reproductive rights, legal pot. You know, he's done some things that you know that sit well with me. Anyway, Leland.
No, it's certainly there's a lot of those things that do sit well with the middle of America, the sort of the common sense stuff. And then you've got a list of the common sense stuff that he talked about, and you've got a laundry list that the Republicans are already putting out. The attack ads are starting to get made. I think there was a sense of relief among Republicans I talked to today that he didn't pick Josh Shapiro.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.